Unlock your potential. Top business ideas for stay-at-home moms. The coffee had gone cold again. Another morning balancing the noise of the house and the quiet question she kept avoiding. Can I really build something of my own? The laundry basket sat by the door overflowing. Toys scattered across the living room floor. And somewhere beneath the rhythm of motherhood, a whisper kept returning, soft but insistent, asking if this was all there was. She wasn't chasing millions, just freedom, the kind that fits between nap times and school pickups, the kind that doesn't require permission or apologies. But every time she opened her laptop, doubt crept in faster than inspiration. What could she possibly offer the world from a kitchen counter cluttered with sippy cups and cereal boxes? Part of her still felt guilty for wanting more, as if ambition had to disappear when motherhood began, as if dreaming beyond diapers and dinner meant she was failing at what mattered most. She closed the laptop. Again. But the idea didn't come from a business book. It came from the mess on her kitchen table. A friend had asked her to help design invitations for a birthday party. Nothing fancy, just something personal. She'd done it in an hour, between snack time and homework, using a free design tool she barely understood. The friend loved it, then asked if she did this for other people. She hadn't, but maybe she could. That night, after the kids were asleep, she sat in the glow of her screen and searched, "Can you really start a business from home?" The answers felt too good to be true. Stories of mothers turning hobbies into income, women building brands from bedrooms, freedom earned in 15-minute increments. Maybe success just wasn't meant for someone like her. Or maybe it was exactly meant for her because she understood what it meant to create something from nothing every single day. According to recent studies, small home-based businesses led by women are growing 40% faster than other segments. Proof that clarity often beats capital, that you don't need a corner office to build something real. She started small. So small it felt almost embarrassing. A simple profile on a freelance platform, a handful of design samples, no fancy branding, no business plan. Just a quiet announcement to the universe. I'm here. I'm ready. The first inquiry came 3 days later. Her hands trembled as she read the message. Someone wanted to pay her. Not much, but enough to feel like validation, enough to prove that maybe, just maybe, this wasn't as impossible as it seemed. She smiled, not because it was easy, but because it was finally hers. What would you have done in her place? The work came in slowly at first. A logo here, a social media graphic there. She worked during stolen moments, early mornings before the house woke up, late nights after bedtime stories. Her workspace was still her kitchen counter, but it no longer felt like chaos, it felt like possibility. Then came the doubt, the kind that whispers louder than failure. A client requested revisions, then more revisions. She'd spent hours on the project, and the payment barely covered minimum wage. Was this really worth it? Was she really cut out for this? She almost gave up, until one message changed everything. A former client had referred her to someone else. They loved her work. They wanted to hire her for an entire branding package. Real money, real recognition. It wasn't the amount that mattered. It was the realization that she was building something that could grow, something that mattered to people beyond her own four walls. She began to notice patterns in what worked. Mothers who sold handmade products on platforms designed for creators, women who turned organizational skills into virtual assistant businesses, teachers who built tutoring services online, writers who monetized blogs about the very journey they were living. Each path was different, but they all shared something. They started scared. Sometimes growth doesn't look like progress. It looks like staying. She learned that entrepreneurship from home wasn't about grand launches or viral moments. It was about consistency, about showing up even when the laundry wasn't done and the dishes were piling up, about believing that small steps still move you forward. She discovered that some of the most profitable home businesses required almost no startup costs. Content creation, consulting, coaching, digital products, services that lived entirely in the space between her ears and her fingertips. But she also learned what she wasn't good at, what drained her, what felt like obligation rather than opportunity. She tried dropshipping for 2 months, before admitting it wasn't her thing. The logistics felt cold, impersonal. She craved connection, not transactions. So she pivoted. She started offering one-on-one design consultations, teaching other mothers how to create their own graphics. Suddenly, the work felt lighter, more meaningful. Her income grew, not overnight, not dramatically, but steadily. Month by month, she replaced guilt with pride, doubt with curiosity. She wasn't just making money, she was reclaiming pieces of herself she thought motherhood had erased. The kids noticed too. They saw her light up when she talked about her clients. They watched her solve problems, celebrate wins, handle setbacks with grace. One afternoon, her daughter asked, "Mommy, what do you do on your computer?" She paused, searching for words that would make sense to a 6-year-old. "I help people tell their stories," she said. "I create things that make them feel seen." Her daughter nodded, then went back to her coloring book. But something shifted in that moment. She realized she wasn't just building a business. She was modeling possibility, showing her children that motherhood and ambition weren't opposing forces, that wanting more didn't mean loving them less. What helped her the most wasn't just the tools she discovered, like Canva Pro for designing, or the small business courses that demystified marketing. It was realizing she didn't need permission to start small. She tested a few resources before finding what truly worked, and honestly, it changed everything. This isn't a promotion, just something that made her path a little lighter. She'd leave the links below for anyone who wanted to explore the same journey. The truth is, there's no single right way to build a home-based business. Some mothers thrive selling printables on Etsy. Others build coaching practices or freelance writing careers. Some create YouTube channels or start virtual bookkeeping services. The business matters less than the belief, the conviction that your skills, your perspective, your time, they all have value worth exchanging. She stopped comparing her Chapter 1 to someone else's Chapter 20, stopped scrolling through highlight reels of overnight success stories that left out the years of groundwork. She focused on her own rhythm, her own pace, and slowly, the business began to shape itself around her life rather than the other way around. There were still hard days, days when clients were demanding and kids were sick and the house felt like it was falling apart, days when she questioned everything. But now she had something to hold on to, evidence that she could create, that she could contribute, that she was more than the roles others had assigned her. Her workspace was still her kitchen counter, but it no longer felt like chaos. It felt like freedom. She started mentoring other mothers, sharing what she'd learned, not as an expert, but as someone who'd walked the path and survived the stumbles. She told them, start before you're ready. Charge what you're worth even when it feels uncomfortable. Celebrate the small wins, the first client, the first 5-star review, the first month you break even. Build something that fits your life, not something that requires you to abandon it. The entrepreneurial journey isn't about escaping motherhood. It's about expanding within it, finding space for both, refusing to shrink. When she poured her coffee the next morning, it was still hot. Because this time she wasn't rushing, she was building. Building a business, building a legacy, building proof that transformation doesn't require permission, just courage to begin. Tell us what part of her story resonated with you most and where you're watching from. Your journey might just inspire the next one. Tell us which country or city you're watching from. See you in the next video. Bye.